Good evening, according to my time at Mumbai, in India, where I'm located. And I will try to make brief points before you within the given time. And to begin with, I express my gratitude to Alkia Kent, who is the conference manager of today's conference, or 6th edition of the Euro Global Conference on Pediatrics and Nanotechnology, on the theme innovations in pediatric healthcare shaping bright future, which is taking place both through in person and online mode. So I express my gratitude and I thank the conference organizers to give me an opportunity to present my research work. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Can you change the slide for me? Yeah, right. And yeah, before I just go ahead, I'm just having a look at my watch so that I respect the time allotted to me. Before I go ahead, very quickly, I want to tell few words myself so that you know what is my background. And this is very important because what I'm going to present before you, it has connection with what experiences I have, what background I have. So very quickly, this what the present slide is available before you. It says that I worked with the Population Education Resource Center. It was attached with the Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension, and this Population Education Resource Center is attached with SNDT Women's University. This SNDT Women's University is located at Mumbai city of Maharashtra, state or province in India. So I worked with this university for around 31 years. I joined the university in August 2087, yes, and I retired on June 30, 2022. And in terms of my qualifications, I did master's after I specialized in demography during 1986-87, for which I was awarded a fellowship from the Government of India. And also I did some other allied courses like certificate course in hospital healthcare management, diploma in human resource development. And apart from these qualifications, in terms of my areas of work at the SNDT Women's University, where from now I retired, I was mainly involved with research studies, number one, curriculum development, and training of teaching learning materials, organizing training and orientation programs, and also preparing teaching learning materials, print materials, which can be used by students as well as the university and college teachers. And apart from this, my job at the SNDT University, I am involved with also activity like writing papers for national and international journals. I have few publications to my credit, and I have also presented my research work at national and international platform, for which I was offered a travel scholarship. And I have also served as a reviewer for around more than 100 journals. I have also served as a reviewer and evaluation panel member and judge for international conferences. So this is brief about myself. I should not talk much about that. And yes, one thing, and my basic subject area of expertise and research is demography in general, and sustainable development in particular, and more interested to do research in health issues in general, and sexual reproductive health of adolescents and women and girls in particular. So this is my big profile. So now I must go ahead with the next slide, please. This was few words about myself. Yes. Yeah. So as I said in the previous slide, this is about my institution affiliation and contact details. Yes, right. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Santosh Kumar Mishra, and now that I have retired from the university, so presently I am making presentation of this research work before you in the capacity of independent research and scholar, in the sense that now I'm retired from the university, so now I'm independent research and scholar who has retired from this Population Resource Center. And what is written below is my physical address, and also I have given my mobile number which is connected with WhatsApp and as well as email, so that after this conference, anybody wants to get connected to me for to ask any question about today's presentation or to know more about my work, one can reach through this WhatsApp connected number as well as my mobile number. So next slide, please. Yeah. Now I come to the what is the objective and why I chose to take up this topic and under the major findings of my work. So title of my work is childhood obesity, causes and consequences. So as the title says, in my work I'll be talking about what are the major contributing factors which are responsible for obesity among children. And this presentation comes under the conference topic child and adolescent obesity. It's for all of presentation webinar. I think you need to click one more. Yes, yeah, right. Thank you. And so now we talk about very quickly about objectives and methodology. I will tell you what exactly I'm trying to present it before you. Why, what are the objectives of my work and what methodology I have used in terms of what data I have used and what is the technique of data analysis. The objective of my paper is to present a discussion on causes and consequences of childhood obesity. So whatever the that I collected from various talking before you. Number one, what are the causes of obesity among children, and what are the consequences of childhood obesity? And in my work, I have used secondary data. As you know that we have two types of data: primary data, secondary data. So I have not used any primary data. I have not undertaken a separate specific study for the purpose of this presentation. So in my work, I have used primary data, number one, and the data I have used are qualitative in nature. And I collected the data since it is secondary data. So I collected data from secondary sources such as books, chapters, journal articles, government publications. And the method of data analysis of my work is descriptive. And apart from data which is collected from various sources, my work has also benefited from my experiences and it is also benefited from my interaction with various stakeholders over the years, because I have traveled to around 36, 37 countries abroad. I also have attended various academic and research events, conferences, seminars. So when we meet with the stakeholders and experts, then we have a interaction and we get some knowledge input. So I have tried to incorporate those knowledge inputs which I have received during my interaction with various stakeholders, both in India as well as abroad. So this is a brief point I wanted to make before you. Next slide, please. So I hope I am clear about my objectives and yeah. Now I talk about the statement of the problem. Why obesity is a major health challenge. Obesity among children is a major health challenge, not only in India, where I'm located, in many countries, including countries in Asia, including countries in Africa, countries in Europe, countries in African region, Caribbean region. So child obesity from a health point of view, it's a major challenge for all stakeholders, including for parents and medical professionals and other stakeholders. So overweight and obesity are defined as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to the health. So there is an index which determines what should be the ideal weight of a child in terms of age and in terms of the height of the child. So it's a accumulation of excess fat, which is a major health risk. And obesity has also been found as the most prevalent nutritional disorder among children and adolescents in many countries and regions and countries of the world. So as I said, this child obesity is a problem not only in Asian region, in many countries. There is various reasons for that. I will be talking about that. And my work also, I found that obesity in children is a complex disorder. So there is not only one contributing factor. Its prevalence has increased so significantly in recent years. And healthcare providers consider it as a major concern for developed world. I think not developed world, developing countries all over. I think over in all regions of the world, child obesity is a major health challenge for the healthcare providers. So next slide, please. I'm just trying to make a few points before you. Next slide, please. Yes, yeah, thank you. I can find the right slide in front of me. So overweight and obesity, yeah, this is, we can escape this. This is just for the, yes. Now in continuation to the previous slide, which was about a statement of the problem. So here I have found that overweight and obesity are defined as normal or excessive fat accumulation. I think I've already covered this. Next slide, please. Probably. Yeah, next. Next, this is just for. Yeah, now let me talk very quickly about on the basis of what experiences what I have, and on the basis of the data which I collected and the data that I analyzed. So what my data says in terms of answered the question of what are the causes of childhood obesity. So most of the my work has found that there are various reasons. So that's why I told that child obesity is a complex problem. So we need to look at the child obesity problem in its totality, and how the child obesity connected not only with the diet, with the behavior pattern, and with the food culture what we have today. So diet is one reason I find that in terms of cause obesity among children is caused by multiple of factors. That's what I said in the beginning. Description of which is presented below. So one contributing factor I find is diet. So regularly eating high calorie food such as fast food, baked food goods, baked food goods and vending machine snacks can cause children to gain weight. And I would like to further elaborate. When I travel to many countries, like including London and some other countries in Europe, and including in New York and Washington DC in USA, I found that in today's world, what we are living, we have a culture of what I say, more inclination towards ready-to-eat food, number one, processed food, number two, and tin food or ready-to-eat food. So and process, so not eating the fresh food. These are the major causes of childhood obesity. This is what my result I found. When I was in the USA about 6 years back, I saw a young boy of maybe around 20, 22 years age. He was overweight, and because of overweight and other health complications, he just collapsed at the bus terminal. And this trend is increasing everywhere. So we have to be very careful about diet. That the diet which the child he or she eats is very important, and the lack of physical activity. This I think some of the in the previous presentation, one speaker talked about exposure to the screen. So and lack of physical activity. Nowadays, children spend most of their time on a screen. A screen meaning with the smartphones, with the laptops, with computers, and and they don't have any physical activity. When it comes to playing games, most of the children they play games on the mobile and other electronic devices instead of going out and getting engaged in sports or physical activities. So this is another aspect. So physical activity is negatively correlated with the risk of obesity. Findings of several studies indicate that the potential benefits of physical activity like walking, cycling, wheeling, sports activity, and recreation and play, they are very important in preventing obesity. Besides having positive impact on mental health, so physical activity has a potential to increase school performance among children. So physical activity, lack of physical activity does not have only on impact on the obesity among children. It also has impact on the mental health of children, and also it has impact on their poor performance in schools and colleges, because lack of physical activity, I think this is a problem not only in India, where I'm located, in many countries. So with this digital world, type of digital world we are living, most of the work is done online, through online mode, through a screen, through mobile phones. We can make out, we can many things. So as a result, there is less and less of physical activity on children. So cycling, doing some sports work, or walking, or even going to schools and colleges. If it is school and college is not very far from the place where children are staying, I think we should encourage them to go walk to the school, or maybe we can encourage them to go to the school by cycling. So that it's like I can look at this as an exercise. So lack of physical activity is another, I think, cause for childhood obesity among children. And this childhood obesity has many complications. It has not only, it has impact on physical health, it has impact on mental health, and it has more impact on other health aspects when the children grow, enter into adulthood. So it has impact. It has both short-term impact as well as long-term impact. That is a second part of my presentation. I will talk to you a little later. Next slide, please. First, let me talk about very quickly about, yeah. So this is continuation of childhood obesity of the previous slide. So that's a lack of exercise. This I find is very important. Lack of exercise. Children who do not exercise much are more likely to gain weight, and it has also been found that this happens because of the fact that they do not burn as required calorie. So physical activity helps us to burn the excess calorie, and as a result of that, children remain in good physical and mental health. Uh, and also it has been found that in today's world situation especially, it is very worrisome to note that too much time is spent on sedentary activity involving a lot of sitting down and not active. And these things adds to the unhealthy food practices which are responsible for obesity among children. So unhealthy food, lack of exercise, these are all contributing factors for the obesity among children. And sedentary activities include watching television, playing video games, use of internet and social media platforms, and interacting with peers and friends through mobile technology. So that in today's world, there is less of human interaction, human touch is not there. So most of the work is done. And so people, children, they go to the school, and most of the work they do, all the activities are indoors, not outdoors. That's what a point I want to make. Children must be encouraged and motivated more and more by parents and other stakeholders to get engaged in outdoor activities, the activities outside the home. Instead of playing game on mobile, they can get engaged with football or other sport activity, or we should encourage them to engage in cycling, and to doing some physical activity. That's very important. So this lack of exercise, I think it's a very important factor for lack of exercise. I find is important. One of the important, not the only factor, is one of the important factors for childhood obesity among children. As I said earlier, diet is also very important, and too much addiction. Maybe I can use the word addiction with the screen. Screen meaning television, social media, this mobile technology, and other electronic devices. So with this more and more use of these devices, and more of like indoor activities, this is a major factor for childhood obesity. And again, as I said earlier, this wrong food culture of fast food and ready to eat food and processed food. This is the cause for childhood obesity in many countries of the world. That's what my experience is. Next slide, please. So must have been, yeah, very quickly. Yes, and also my work I found that family factors are also important. So the type of culture which prevails in the family itself, if the child comes from a family of overweight people, he or she may be likely to be put on weight. So it's like maybe it hereditary factor. And psychological factors are also important. So my work says that it has been found that personal, parental, and family stress can increase a child risk of obesity. So these are some findings of the study where it says that stress and the type of background of the family, this is also important factor, contributing factor for childhood obesity. And some children overeat to cope with problems or to deal with emotions. So this overeating and is also a contributing factor. And also, yeah, some children overeat to cope with problems or deal with emotions such as stress and to fight boredom. And their parents might have similar tendency. So type of values and the type of health practices that prevails in the family, that also has important impact uh, on childhood obesity. So it's so here comes the role of not only medical doctors or health educators. It also becomes the role of medical parents in this context becomes very important. Next slide, please. So that I don't want to respect the. Yeah, and then there are also I find that the socioeconomic factors and the data which I have collected. It's analysis says that children who live in lower income neighborhoods might not have access to safe places to do exercise or engage in physical activity. As I said earlier, lack of exercise is also important factor. So in a situation wherein children do not have favorable work, favorable conditions wherein they find enough space and they can go out to get engaged in physical activities. So that is also another cause of childhood obesity. And one more additional point I want to make before you, which I have not covered in this my slide, because it's a research is something which is a continuous thought process. So childhood obesity can also be found in a situation in countries which are conflicted with violence, like maybe war war or conflict situations. For example, what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, what is happening between Israel and Palestine. So in the war zone situations, it's extraordinary situation. So people, because of a health emergency situation during war and conflict, the children are confined within the home. So they don't have any activity to get engaged in because of the war-like situation. So in these situations also might be responsible to some extent uh, for obesity among children. I have not covered that, but I thought I will make a brief point before you. So, during first part of my presentation, where I'm talking about causes of childhood obesity, so I have found that causes of obesity in children include unhealthy food choices, lack of physical activity, and family eating habits. So this rise in the number of overweight children is disturbing because it causes health problems and can lead to social problems. So this is the first part of my presentation. Now I move on to the next part of my presentation where I'm talking about, yeah, right, consequences of childhood obesity. So I previously talked about causes. So now let us look at what are the consequences of childhood obesity and what data, my data which I collected, what my data says. So with regard to consequences, childhood obesity is a serious medical condition. Implications are reflected in the form of diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. So these three health outcomes is a major challenge before stakeholders, before parents, and before healthcare providers. So diabetes high. So this is the reason why nowadays we see more children getting diagnosed with symptoms like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol level. And this is one. And let me make a point that if these health complications are not found during childhood. These complications and many more health complications might be diagnosed among children at a later stage. When these children enter into adulthood, they may have many more health complications, including mental health. So these are the three indicators: that diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. And diabetes itself has many other health consequences, as we all know. I don't want to elaborate more on that because this is not within the purview and objective of my presentation. And also it can lead to poor self-esteem and depression, including complications in physical and social, emotional and well-being. So these are all aspects of mental health. So children can have a lower self-esteem because of childhood, because of obesity, because sometimes they are their image is downgraded in the eyes of other people. So it may also have implications on their personal development. It may also have implications on their performance in schools and colleges. And more specifically, in terms of social and emotional complications, children who have obesity may experience teasing or bullying by their peers. So sometimes they are looked down upon by others. So these are some indirect consequences. And in terms of direct consequences, I said diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. There are many more health complications, but I'm trying to make before you only the key points, because the time allotted to us, it does not allow us to talk too much. And I think, but we can always understand its other consequences. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I can find the right slide in front of me. So this is in continuation of the previous slide. So my data also says that some of the physical complications of childhood obesity include type 2 diabetes, which is marked by too high blood sugar. Yes, number one. And also high cholesterol and high blood pressure. And joint pains. This is under joint pain itself is a health complication which has implications on other health aspects. Joint pain may be because of extra weight causes, because extra weight causes extra stress on hips and knees. So if the child is overweight and there is obesity, so the children may also may experience the joint pains, and also they may have breathing problems. They walk a small distance. They may not have a normal breathing. They have a breathing related complications. Of course, breathing complications are not only due to obesity. It's also because of pollution and other eating habits. But overweight can definitely result in breathing problems, and these breathing problems becomes more complicated when the children grow older and when they enter into adulthood and they will enter into older age group. So these problems become more complicated. So type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol level, joint pains and breathing problems. These are some of the major consequences of childhood obesity. So this is a brief points I'm just making before you. So can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So now I have talked about causes of childhood obesity, consequences of childhood obesity. Yeah. So now very quickly I thought I must talk to you very quickly about what are the preventive measures in childhood obesity, what can be done. And in terms of preventive measures, I am of the firm opinion that since there are many contributing factors for childhood obesity, so what should be done to prevent the childhood obesity? Its answer does not lie in one sentence or in one strategic measure. So we need to have a approach wherein all stakeholders play an all role. For example, in terms of what is the role of parents, what is the role of healthcare providers, and probably let me tell you that it's very important that health literacy should be a part of all educational programs at the school level, at the college level, at the higher education level, both through formal sectors, both through non-formal sectors. So health literacy and health education must reach to the people, because if there is child obesity, there are, of course, there are medical treatment options are available, but prevention is better. And it's very important for us to reach to the parents and including the children, with the messages, health literacy messages, with the help of which they can manage their health complications in general, and they can also adequately address the challenges resulting from childhood obesity. So my work says that gradually working to change family eating habits. So children, parents and families should be encouraged to move and to stick to the more healthy food practice, and not to depend more on easily available or ready to eat or processed food which is available in supermarkets and other grocery shops across the regions of the world. And also there is need to encourage physical activity. So children, they must be encouraged. And children should have 60 minutes of moderate physical activity most of the days of the week. I mean, there are some findings which say that a minimum of 60 minutes of moderate physical activity per day. It's very important. This is one of the uh, this is one of the aspects which can help children prevent obesity during their childhood days. And more than 60 minutes of activity may promote weight loss and provide weight maintenance. So engaging, promoting children to engage more of physical activity and also changing the food habit, I think is very important that can be done. And also reducing the screen time in front of phones, computers and TV to less than 1 to 2 hours daily. So there is need to see that they spend less time with computer, TV, phones, and this thing, because this addiction or addiction to this type of phones and computer and television, this is a major reason why children, they do not engage in what I should say outdoor activities. So the outdoor activity, encouraging them to engage in outdoor activities, and encouraging them to have more and more physical face-to-face interaction or human interaction, instead of getting connected with the people around, with the friends and other people through mobile technology. This is, we must discourage them. So this is very important. That's what my work says. But we need to find out a modality through which we can reach children and parents, including parents, with the right type of health literacy messages. And encouraging children and teens to eat when hungry and eat slowly. So these are small habits connected with personal eating habits. So they should eat slowly, and they should eat only when they feel hungry, and serve at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, depending more on fruits and vegetables and leafy vegetables, instead of depending more on fast food. This is also one of the preventive measures that probably can help us prevent child obesity. And encouraging children and teens to drink water rather than beverages. I hope I have made a valid point, because not only fast food and ready to eat food, they whatever beverages are available nowadays in departmental stores, including in malls and other grocery shops, like soft drinks and fruit, these are not healthy. So we should encourage them to drink more of water. And water therapy also, there is a lot of research which says that water therapy is the answer to many of the health problems. Not only childhood, only obesity, not only obesity among children, but even obesity among adults, obesity among children, among older people. And not only obesity, many health complications are outcome of inadequate consumption of water. So drinking more of water and this type of small food practices and small health habits are key to preventing childhood obesity. Next slide, please. So in my presentation, by and large, whatever data I have collected, I presented before you. And just to conclude, because I must leave some time for others to make presentation. Also, I must make some space for others to ask questions. So my work says that in conclusion, my work says that the rising epidemic of childhood, that's why I have used the word epidemic. Purposely I have used the word epidemic because childhood obesity I find is a major health challenge. So the rising epidemic of childhood obesity worldwide is a major public health in the new millennium, 21st century, and new millennium, 21st century, which is marked with wrong food habits among children and other health practices. And one of the best strategies to reduce childhood obesity is to improve the eating and exercise habits. So this is very important. And so we all have parents. I have everybody has role to play. Yeah, I'm just winding up my presenters. I know that I have used the time allotted to me. And prevention strategies help protect children health now and in the future. And the rising trend of childhood obesity worldwide, with its effect on both childhood and adult health, highlights its importance as an international priority. So all stakeholders have a role to play in preventing childhood obesity. So I think I have ended. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you so much for your kind attention, and thank you for once again to providing me with an opportunity. So if there is any question, I'm ready to answer. Alternatively, I have also, in the beginning, I have given my email address as well as in my WhatsApp connected mobile number. Anybody can reach me with any question or anybody can reach me with any aspect of the presentation in case the time available does not allow to. Thank you so much once again. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you for listening to me.